Game legend Tomonobu Itagaki has resurrected the greatest moments and fixed the biggest problems with his world-famous fighting franchise Dead or Alive, in the 4th installment exclusively on the Xbox 360. In an attempt to add more depth to Dead or Alive's fighting style, almost every move is more powerful, but more difficult to master in Dead or Alive 4. This makes the game a bit more taxing, but much more rewarding. DOA veterans will have to learn some new moves, and newcomers will have to get used to some of the fastest fighting in video games. Going on an offensive assault can be reduced to manic button mashing, but defending yourself on your feet or on the ground takes a good amount of careful timing this year. In Dead or Alive 3, if you master the countering system, you could either completely dominate your opponent or get caught in a throwing match. In Dead or Alive 4, counterattacks have gone from relatively easy to surprisingly difficult. This means they require at least twice the skill to perform, but it will throw off your enemy that much more when you finally pull one off. This change might upset longtime fans of the series, but it requires you to focus on the other basics of DOA combat: blocking, timing, and utilizing your surroundings. As in previous Dead or Alive games, you can take the fight to multiple levels, but unlike previous installments, these falls won't ever kill your opponent. There are over a dozen different modes of gameplay, including the long-awaited and completely satisfying Xbox Live matches. There's enough customization available to keep you fighting. Tournaments and tag team battles are just a few of the ways you can compete online, whether you're the best of the best or just looking to test your DOA skills. There are 16 fighters available when you start Dead or Alive 4, and 6 bonus fighters you can unlock by beating the game in different ways. 3 of the main characters are fighting in Dead or Alive for the first time: La Mariposa, a masked lucha libre wrestler; Kokoro, a Bajin Quan dancer; and Elliot, the apprentice of and successor to Master Genfu. The journey through the story mode lasts for 8 fights and ends with a finale cinematic that's different for each character. These are entertaining, but the focus was clearly on building the ultimate arcade fighter, rather than constructing a believable or involving story. It would have been interesting to see each personality explored a little more in their expression and appearance, instead of being the same bouncy, cartoony characters from the previous generations. Dead or Alive 4 is a graphical marvel. The fighters might not look as stunning as the real-life models from 360 sports games, but Itagaki's signature style of animated characters and fluid fighting has been brought to a level we've never seen before. The clothing, objects, and backgrounds are all beautifully consistent. The skin and hair are pretty, but not realistic. Fighters' hairstyles have trouble interacting with their costumes, and the skin textures look like plastic. But there's enough detail in the characters and their surroundings to make Dead or Alive 4 the best-looking fighting game ever made. Every multi-level environment comes alive with an array of animated and destructible elements, including vehicles and animals. The game performs extremely well, too. The loading times are barely noticeable, the combat animation is fast as lightning, and the effects are never distracting. The frame rate is affected on occasion, but nothing more than brief moments of slow motion. Although Dead or Alive 4 may surprise fans that find their familiar attacks are missing or a little trickier than they remember, none of them will regret adding it to their Xbox 360 library. The visuals are richer, the combat is deeper, and the difficulty is greater. It's a true next-gen leap for the series.